In the summer of 1977, a quiet neighborhood in North London called Enfield suddenly became the center of one of the most mysterious and terrifying paranormal cases of the 20th century. A family named Hodgson were living a simple life in a rented house until one night, everything changed.
Welcome to Mystery Tales.
Welcome to Mystery Tales, the true story of the Enfield Poltergeist. In the summer of 1977, a quiet neighborhood in North London called Enfield suddenly became the center of one of the most mysterious and terrifying paranormal cases of the 20th century. A family named Hodgson, consisting of the mother, Peggy, and her 4 children, were living a simple life in a rented house until one night, everything changed. It all began with strange knocking sounds inside the walls. At first, Peggy thought the kids were just being playful, or maybe the old house was making normal creaking noises. But the sounds continued, growing louder, night after night, and closer. One night, Janet, the 11-year-old daughter, woke up in terror. Her bed was shaking, like someone underneath was lifting it. She screamed, and her mother rushed into the room, but no one was there. The next day, toys began flying across the room on their own. Drawers slid open, and chairs moved by themselves. Peggy, frightened, called the police. 2 officers arrived, and one of them even claimed to witness a chair levitate and slide several feet without anyone touching it. But they said there was no crime to investigate, and they left. But things got worse. Janet began to be violently thrown around the house by invisible forces. A deep, growling voice, completely unlike a child's, began to speak from her throat. The voice identified itself as Bill Wilkins, a man who had once lived in the house and had died of a brain hemorrhage while sitting in the corner of the living room. The voice spoke for hours in a low, menacing tone. Sometimes it would threaten those around Janet. Other times, it cried. The sound was so natural and complex that scientists were skeptical. But after conducting expert tests on Janet's vocal cords, it was confirmed a child's larynx was physically incapable of producing such a voice. These events drew media attention and caught the interest of paranormal investigators. Among them were Maurice Grosse and Guy Lyon Playfair, 2 researchers from the Society for Psychical Research in London. They spent months in the house and documented hundreds of unexplained occurrences, from moving objects to flying books, and even recordings of Bill's voice coming from Janet. Once, in front of Maurice's eyes, Janet levitated into the air and was slammed against the wall, while no one else was near her. Despite all this evidence, some believed Janet was faking it. She was even caught pretending on a few occasions. But the family and some researchers insisted that the events were real, and that Janet had only faked things sometimes to keep the attention. Still, the power and intensity of what happened were far beyond what a child could create. By 1979, the activity gradually faded. The family continued living in the same house, but now in constant fear. Janet Hodgson later said, "I experienced something I can't explain. Some nights, I still feel that thing, watching me." The Enfield Poltergeist remains one of the most controversial and well-documented hauntings in history. It even inspired major films like The Conjuring 2. But to this day, the truth behind that haunted house in Enfield remains shrouded in mystery.